Today we have a very special person in our show. Dr. Veronica is here. She's originally from Tanzania. She has been here for over 15 years now. She left the life being nurse practitioner, doctor. Now she's professional in the issue of money, where we have a big problem with immigrants when it comes to money. We think that we know how to use money. We think that we know how to plan things for the future. But the problem we have is we come from different culture to a different culture. True. Where how the money, how you invest is vastly different from our system. So I have few questions. I believe many immigrants are having these questions. When we come here, most of us, the focus is, let me get my papers, get green card, become a citizen, and once you have that status, you think that is the end of the world. Nobody can say anything to you. That's the problem. Right. But that's not money. Yeah. That's not retirement. So then we come from the culture where most of us, we are working, you get $300, $400, $500, $1,000 per month. You come here, you make 3,000. You don't think about anything. You think about at the top of the world. You have double shift, 5,000. You keep doing, you get more money. Yeah. But in the end, you don't have anything at the end of the month. And then the worst part is when the time to retire comes. So my question is, what makes someone to retire? And what immigrants, because we are late to come here, what strategies should we do, or what things should we pay attention in order to be financially stable and have the retirement in good order?
Wow, that's a very good and broad question. So I'm going to try to narrow it down as much as I can. So you said a very important thing. You know, oftentimes as immigrants, when we come to America, you're coming here for pretty much economic empowerment, right? Because the truth is, nobody's going to say, hey, I'm going to leave my family and leave my friends and people that I truly care for and move to a foreign land if it was not for a bigger purpose. Does it make sense? But it's true. Sometimes you come here, you realize, hey, I have access to everything now that I don't have, to worry about paperwork and stuff like that, and then you relax. Because you forget that, hey, you came here for a bigger purpose. You had to sacrifice and give up everything. So when we talk about, when you come here, number one, people need to remember America is a land of opportunities. But also opportunities are not taught, they're caught. So you're not going to expect somebody to say, hey, this is an opportunity, blah, blah, blah. I mean, sometimes you can be lucky and somebody can let you see the bigger picture, but that is where we're lacking. That's one. Second, when we talk about the issue of retirement, the question is, what is a retirement? Do we even understand the meaning of retirement? Ernest, there are 3 ways you can retire, right?
Yes.
You can either retire traditionally, meaning you retire and stay retired, meaning you're utilizing your savings to support you throughout retirement. Yeah. That's what is the traditional meaning of retirement. And then you have retirement where it's called partial retirement, meaning you retire and then you have a side gig. If you've noticed, a lot of people, when they hit their 60s, 70s, that's when they want to start a new side job. Somebody was an engineer all this while. They never had freelancing side gig. All of a sudden, now they started their LLC, IT, freelancing consulting. They never wanted to consult in their 30s, but now all of a sudden, they're much older, so they feel like, Now, some people do it because it's a hobby, but majority do it as a way of making extra income at retirement. So that's called partial retirement. And then you have retirement where you retire and everybody's happy for you. We're celebrating you. 5 years later, you come back to work full time. It's called reverse retirement. Yeah. Now, that is something a lot of people don't know about. As a matter of fact, Department of Labor just gave their last report, and they said about 2/3 of middle-class Americans, when they retire, they come back to work. So the issue is it because they never worked hard, or is it because it was poor planning, or because it's lack of understanding of the system? Because last time I checked, a lot of people who come here as immigrants, most immigrants work hard. So what is the gap there? I feel like the gap is the understanding of how the system works. You see? So it doesn't mean people are lazy. People are working hard, Ernest. I mean, majority of the people, at least I've seen, people are working hard, people are educated. So it's the understanding and having the information about the system. So retirement is not an age. Retirement is a financial independent number. You can retire in your 40s. You don't have to be 60. The government decides when they want to pay your Social Security. So they decide when they want you to retire. Because it depends on what's on their bucket.
And they can change any time they want.
Of course. Because when I came here, I remember retirement age was like 59 and a half. And then a few years later, so, oh, he's 65. Few years ago, was it 2 or 3 years ago, they said, oh, he's 67. So by the time I'm truly on retirement, I might say 86. What am I going to do? The government is the one that says, depending on when they want to, give you those retirement benefits. But the reason why they're doing that is because when you look at the system, right now, the American, system, they don't have a lot of money in Social Security because you have a lot of retirees compared to workers. The numbers has changed, all these baby boomers and stuff like that. So if you are only going to depend on the government or the employer, you might not even retire. So instead of just following what is offered at your job or the system, people need to understand that you can plan your retirement, because if you don't plan your retirement, you're waiting for the government to plan for you. Oh my gosh, I'm not sure if you're waiting for the government to plan. So retirement is a financial independence number. So you get to sit down, you get to calculate based on your financial goals, where you want to be financially, and then that is when we get to know, okay, after a period of, maybe let's say 20 years or 30 years, this is how much you're going to, be able to retire and stay retired. And last but not least, remember, there are two biggest challenges for most people at retirement. Challenge number one, I said it already, outliving their money at retirement. Challenge number two is to overpaying taxes. There are so many taxes at retirement. Question is, do people even understand how taxes work? Because some people retire tax-free, and some people, that is when they pay a lot in taxes. And that's why a lot of retirees today are complaining that they have to put their money back.
I said 2 million, but at that time, it's not actually 2 million when they start taking their taxes.
Correct. So the understanding of that tax at retirement, what is taxed, what is not taxed, and stuff like that is a great education to have, because let's be honest also, Ernest here, right now we are younger, right? So we can work maybe 2 jobs. But what about when you're 70s and 80s? Do you really want to be assuming more work then?
No.
Or lesser? Exactly. So if we don't plan correctly for our retirement and we don't factor a lot of things in, that is when we get to suffer. And then we think, people are not being fair to certain people. And that's not accurate. It's because we also lack the understanding of how the system works.
So in the end, we have to get the understanding of the game. Because if you don't understand, in the end, you work so hard, they take your money.
Mm-hmm.
That is the challenge we are going to face.
Correct.
Thank you so much for that very good explanation.